Welcome back everybody to another groovy game review. It's your boy Funk, and today we're going to be discussing Tom Clancy's Division 2. But before we go into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to get notified for future game reviews. In this review, I'm going to be discussing three major topics which I really feel like is going to be the deciding factor whether you, the viewer, decide to buy the game or not. In this review, we're going to be discussing in-game content, PvE, and PvP. In the game, you obviously have your main missions and your side missions, which progressively tells you the story about what's going on in Washington D.C. and why you, the agent, is there to help out. For both the main missions and the side missions, with main missions being a little bit longer to complete compared to the side missions, the difficulty going through the game aren't that hard. You can play them yourself or with friends to make it a little bit more fun, but as far as the game itself going through them, it wasn't really that challenging. A unique feature that I thought was really nice compared to the Division 1 was adding these features you can find in-game, such as conflict fights, propaganda fights, and stopping public executions. Not only that, they also added bounties. But adding these little things away from the main missions and side missions really felt more in-game content was available to you, the gamer, when you're going through Washington D.C., inviting you to explore the city a little bit more, especially with more enemy NPCs roaming in the street. Division 2 implemented a bounty system where high-value targets in certain districts of the city have become a danger to the agents. So completing these bounties can give you a great reward as far as unlocking new side missions or unlocking high-value gear or mods that have become available to you depending on your current level. As far as getting the gear in the game, there are various ways to obtain it, going through main missions or doing those side conflicts such as the conflict fights and propaganda fights. You do feel adequately equipped with gear throughout the game until you hit about in-game where it gets a little bit harder. But that, of course, is the reason they did that, so there's a grind to it, so the game has some kind of value once you're beating it, because if it wasn't, no one would really be playing the game once you beat it, trust me. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the PvE in the game as far as matchmaking, enemies, and gear. In this particular segment of the video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the matchmaking. Matchmaking in the game is available, but the thing is no one really uses it, which I think is kind of funny. The community really harped on the developers of the game to make sure that matchmaking was available throughout the game, in which they did to a certain point. But the thing is, most people already have their friends that they're going to play with in the game. So for those who are going to the game not really having any friends or want to make new friends, it's going to be a little bit tougher. So keep that in mind when playing the game. There's a good chance from beginning to end game you probably won't find anyone to play with, but there might be a few chances where you would find someone who's trying to matchmake with you throughout the game as well. Here comes the fun part. The enemies in the game are pretty bizarre. There are some tough enemies, don't get me wrong, that it's going to take a while to kill. They are strong when it comes to it. But the one thing that I really felt annoyed about the game was when you get towards the end game, especially when it comes to elites, there's a lot of running. And what I mean by running is they're not running from cover to cover trying to shoot at you. It's more like they're running, coming straight at you, not shooting, and then running away or running right past you. And this really ruined the game for me to a certain point. I still find the game fun, but when you get into those fights where all they're doing is running, or you do that one mission where you have to kill the last guy and all he really does is just running around corners, or he's running away from you and you really have to chase him down, I really did not enjoy that part of the game. And I don't know what happened with this, but it's just something that I really think they should fix when it comes to the game. I don't know if there's something they can fix, but that's something you would have to keep in mind when it comes to end game, is when it comes to elites or higher enemies, that they're going to be doing a lot of running and no shooting. Now that we talk a little bit more about the matchmakers and enemies, let's talk a little bit more about the raid that came out just recently. The raid that is available right now seems like a lot of fun and very challenging. I don't know if you watch any other videos on YouTube or on Twitch where players were going through it, but it took a lot of coordination and skill to get through the raid. But the one thing that really gets on my nerves about the raid, as far as it being available to people, is it's not really available to the people. And the reason why I say that is because matchmaking was promised by the developers of the game to be available for those who wanted to raid, but then took it away the day before they released it. This became an instant turnoff, especially if you wanted to do the raid but now unable to because you have to find 7 other people. If matchmaking was available, this would make it a lot easier as far as being able to at least participate in the raid. but because they took that away, it makes it a lot harder. But the thing I thought that was actually funny is they said that they weren't going to be able to do matchmaking because the raid is going to require skill, coordination, and other types of things you would need in as far as team. But they offered a look for a group forum or their official Discord to help find others to do the raid with you, which in my sense, it really just sounds like matchmaking, but just off their game. So I thought that was pretty lame and kind of poor on their end, but like I said, it's one of the things I want to do the raid, and I know there's probably other people who want to do the raid as well, but just not being able to because you have to find 7 other players who's able to get on the same time as you to be able to do the raid, which would make it would have made a lot easier if they just had it in game. That way you could find 7 other people who are on at that moment. Whether they had the right skill coordination obviously would be something you would talk about once you get into the raid. Now let's talk a little bit more about the PvP in the game as far as the Dark Zone and online matches. One thing I want to talk about is the Dark Zone is that it's similar to the first one, but they added some more features which makes it a little bit more interesting compared to the first one. And the reason I say this is because when you go rogue in this one, you now have rogue missions in the Dark Zone. I thought that alone was pretty unique and actually interesting and fun compared to the first one where you're just rogue, you just go around killing. But being rogue for so long, you now have a manhunt or a man bounty on those who decide to be rogue agents for a long period of time, giving you more experience or gear if you do able to take down this rogue agent. I thought that was a little fun aspect of the game, kind of bringing in like, oh my god, we gotta find this one person, take them down. It's gonna benefit me in this short run going into the Dark Zone. Now let's talk about online matches. PvP in the game as far as online wasn't really available in the first one until later on into the game, but here it's available right from the start. And I thought that was a pretty cool feature. It really gives the whole aspect of when you're tired of just roaming around fighting NPCs, you now have the option to fight against other agents in the game. And it's something that I thought was actually pretty fun. Now that you have more tools to use compared to like the same mending ball or the turret gun, which you wouldn't really see often in the PvP, you now could see that in this one because there's such a variety of tools that you can use to help out your teammates to take down those other agents on the other team. So I like that aspect of the online matches. There isn't much of a difference, but you can level up. When leveling up in the conflict area will get you gear that kind of meshes with the PvP. So it's a nice little aspect of it. It's kind of like its own little game itself, where like it rewards you for playing it. That pretty much sums up everything about the game. I hope this video was able to inform you a little bit more about the game itself, whether you decide if you wanted to get the game or not. I will continue playing the game. I enjoy it a lot. I put in a lot of hours. I'm gonna enjoy the new content they're gonna come out. Hopefully it will be good, with the 3 episodes coming with the end of the year and so on and so on. So with that being said, thank you for everyone listening to the video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for future game reviews coming out. And also, if you haven't already, I do have a blog, indefunk.com, so you definitely want to check that out with all these written reviews about games and other gaming news as far as patches or gaming controversies, or even if you want to learn how to stream these games online, then I can also help you out with that as well. With all that being said, I'll catch y'all on the rebound.